Ruth 1 verse 20 to 21. She said to them, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has witnessed against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" This is a very familiar story. The story of Ruth and Naomi a lot of us learned in Sunday school. However, these verses are not the most highlighted verses by preachers. Most of us rather preach about the moments of strength we see demonstrated by Bible characters. However, we are often afraid to confront their frailties. Naomi had a season of grief more than most of us can ever dare to imagine. We have no idea the pains the loss of a husband, partner, and friend could cause, much less losing a husband and 2 sons. It's like tragedy after tragedy. Before she could get over a period of mourning, she was again mourning. That's painful, deeply painful to say the least. She felt during this time of grief it was God afflicting her. Still trying to figure out at times if her statement in verse 21 was really reasons she gave for God afflicting her. She said she went out full. However, if we look into verse 1, we see that she and her family left her country because of a severe famine. Based on that, I doubt full there spoke much to physical possession. However, she had a rich family, and that's what was evident. She had a rich spiritual heritage, and she left that to dwell in the land of Moab. The Moabites were people who were bred out of incest. Their very origin spoke to ungodliness. We must be careful even in our times of lack and suffering, not to seek solace in ungodly places. It can lead to further heartaches, pains, and suffering. Seeking sources out of ungodly places will take from our lives as opposed to adding to it. Let us learn in every situation to seek God. Seek the will of God for your life, and when you find it, walk therein. Word to wounded woman. Like Naomi, you might be bitter and angry. Angry about the way things are going in your life. Lost dreams and hope. You might have been experiencing great lack. Might be financially, emotionally, or physically, your needs are far from being met. You might be living paycheck to paycheck, or better yet, your paycheck might not be sufficient to cover the bills, let alone purchase food. It's a time of famine these days for a lot of people. You might not know when things will change as nothing seems to be happening for you. Besides, when you listen to the news, it makes matters far worse for you. Such deep sense of hopelessness lead a lot of people into depression. Some are even at the point of struggling with suicidal thoughts. Naomi said, "Call me Mara," which means bitterness filled her soul. Deep inside there was anger, even anger at God for the way things were going. In addition to a famine for food, there is also a famine for the word of God. It appears He is not hearing or answering your prayers. Does God care about the way my life is going? That seems to be all the question on your mind. He doesn't answer. Why does he answer? It was not easy to lift up a spirit that's been so broken, so wounded, so hurting, crying day and night upon her bed. In addition to the lack she was running away from, God afflicted her with more, the loss of her husband and her sons. In addition to not being able to pay the bills, more debts are being added, and you seem to be sinking deeper and deeper. Before you know it, it's like you are in a whirlpool. Step back from the edge. Naomi was at a very sad and very bitter place. However, as a result of looking and acknowledging her present state, she spoke her heart and exactly how she felt. She made an open confession. Then she returned. Verse 22. She returned to Bethlehem, a place of bread at the beginning of a barley harvest. If she was like some of us, her pride would have prevented her. However, she returned to the place she was familiar with. She returned to where her bread was sure. Sometimes we make decisions to go here or there, leave this church or that, break this relationship or that. You might have left a job for a better paying job, but now you find you can't even go to church, or you lose the job you thought was better. Now there's no job at all. We make these decisions without consulting God, without seeking what is His will for our lives, making decisions based on what we see. Never make a permanent decision because of a temporary emotion or problem. Now she had more lack than she felt before. Sometimes we experience great spiritual lack because of our decisions. There are times our families suffer and die. Marriages die because of decisions we make. For some of us, it might not be literal, like in Naomi's situation. However, families are broken. Children become rebellious and stray from God. Often, if we should be honest within ourselves to confront the root of it, we would realize it's all the result of a bad decision we made. Decisions made without God. Like Naomi, I would like to encourage someone to step back from the edge. Suicide is not the answer. Return to the place of prayer. Return to fasting and seeking God. Return to where your soul was being fed spiritual things. Return. Forget about the shame and the embarrassment and return. Suicide is not the answer. Rebellion is not the answer. Search your heart and your soul. Like Naomi, return to the place of bread, the bread of life from which you once fed. Like Naomi, others will return with you to know your God and your source. Like Naomi, you will experience greater blessings ahead. Return, return, return.